everyone to masinahikan iskwêwak, and we're here on, I guess we're not on location today. We're actually in our original studio space today. We've been on location for the last couple interviews with some very special guests, but we're here today with another special guest. I'm Kayla.
I'm Tanya.
I'm Sheila.
And I'm Gabrielle.
And we're here. And we are four strong Métis women. Three strong Métis women. Four of us today in the house. And we're going to be talking about illustrating in books. And it's going to be something new. So I'm super excited about it.
First of all, Gabrielle, thank you and welcome. And spoiler alert, your name is Gabrielle. So if you want to... I'm going to learn how to edit that out.
Okay. Or not.
No, I don't know. So do you want to tell our listeners who you are? Damn it.
Yeah.
I thought you were going with like a Gabrielle Dumont thing for a second.
No.
And I'm like, are we connecting it that way?
Damn it. Go ahead.
So, I am Gabrielle, as was previously mentioned. So I'm originally from Winnipeg, Manitoba, from the Red River region. My family is Métis on my dad's side. I actually think that me and Tanya may be related because we do share the last name Ducharme.
I definitely think that we're related, Gabrielle. We've had this conversation many times before.
So on my mom's side, she's Nordic. She's actually from Humboldt, Saskatchewan. So I moved to Edmonton about 10 years ago, and I did my undergrad at the U of A in Native Studies and Political Science. And then I actually followed in Kayla's footsteps and did the Indigenous internship in the MLIS program.
Cool.
How do we first meet though? Other than Native Studies,
yeah.
This is a big thing.
Yeah. So we first met in Frank Tuff's NS290 class, which is research methodology. It was a really intense course. We were in a group together, and we ended up working at the Métis Archival Project, doing archival research for Métis communities with Frank Tuff. And then, yeah, we kind of just stayed on each other's paths for a few years.
Yeah, I think that's something about the Map Lab. It breeds either lawyers or like information professionals.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you talk a bit about what the Map Lab is?
Yeah, so the Métis Archival Project is associated with the Faculty of Native Studies, and it houses a bunch of archival records related to Métis land hunting and fishing claims, and we try and research and condense them into legal reports to help clarify land hunting and fishing rights for Métis communities. So we work with like a lot of census, a lot of Hudson's Bay Company journals, RG18, Northwest Mounted Police. We actually went to Hudson's Bay Company together, me and Kayla, to go photograph Hudson's Bay Company journals that actually aren't available online, and then use them in reports.
Yeah, so we did Fort Chipewyan journals and some other more like northern Alberta places that just aren't accessible online, or if they are, it's on really crappy like digitized microfilm, so it's almost illegible when you need small details. So we went up to places and to archives and digitized everything, that took photos in color and then had it for our own lab purposes.
Yeah, and then, one other big thing about Métis Archival Project is they were the first place to actually use script records in a lot of legal cases. So Frank and the research team actually digitized 35,000 Métis script records that are now available online and are probably have gotten a lot of people their status.
Whoa. That's intense, hey? That's a big number when you think about it. You're like, holy crap, that's countless hours and countless dollars worth of effort.
I think the Map Lab's been running for like 16 or 17 years, something like that, and has employed over like 150 U of A students.
Wow.
There's been a lot that have gone through there, so
a lot.
Yeah. But it's kind of one of these weird little research centers that probably doesn't get acknowledgement that it should get, or Frank doesn't get the acknowledgement that he should. I've nominated him for multiple teaching awards, and then every time he figures out that I nominated him, he gives me this look. He's irritated by it or something. Like,
how dare you, Kayla?
How dare you acknowledge my support of undergraduate research and archives.
Okay. Man. So I'm thinking about our listeners, and I might be wrong in assuming this, but not everyone might know what Métis script is.
Oh.
Can you talk a little bit about that, how you would define it?
Yeah, sure. So, this relates so much to my presentation that I just did, so...
There you go. Pull it out.
So So Métis script was given to a person of Métis descent to extinguish their Aboriginal rights. So persons would either get money script or land script. And then once they got these documents, it kind of extinguished their title to the land. But a lot of it was very fraudulent.
So I think now it's just used as a way of proving your lineage, or in some cases, because there's so much detail put into script records, you can pull a lot of genealogy out of it, but also you can take script records and then compile demographic information as well based on geographic locale. So you can see how many script records, how many people were born, died, got married, were living in Isle La Crosse or like Edmonton at the time of the commission, and you can be like, well, Edmonton had like 1,000 Métis people or something along those lines at this point, so it was a hub, or you know, there was nobody living there. So that's kind of one thing. They're super fascinating. I love them.
Yeah.
You get lost in like looking at databases, especially if you are Métis. Like that was always my biggest thing at the lab, was starting to go down this
Your own family
trail.
tree.
Yeah, your own family history, and digging yourself into this like, I don't know, like research rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're super useful. Sometimes you get off-key comments written by the script commissioners, like Métis family arrived in like Red River carts, really cool details that you normally, like you won't find unless you're looking at the actual physical record rather than just a transcription of it. So yeah, there's lots of interesting details you can get from them.
In my head, that vision is just total badass, right? Like rolling on up in the Métis cart. You're like, yeah, I'm here. Pay attention to me. I don't know why that image popped in my head, but it did.
Okay. So if you could explain, I guess, the project that you're involved in, the illustration project, and how you got started with that, and how that came about.
So I'm currently illustrating a Michif language children's book with the Fac Saint Jean with Professor Eva Lemaire. And it's really interesting. She actually came from Paris about 10 years ago. And when she came to Canada, she became absolutely fascinated with the Michif language because she had never heard of it. She was super fascinated that it mixes French and Cree together. And so she got really interested in language revitalization because she's an education professor at the Fac Saint Jean, and she has kids right now that are school age and they're starting to do immersion. And she was like, well, why don't we do like more immersion with Aboriginal languages? And she actually took the initiative to start this project, and she wanted to hire all Métis students. So my friend Ripley, which I'm sure you guys know, she works at Fac Saint Jean. And I was actually out for drinks with her, and she kept talking how she needed like an artist to do this book, and I was like, should I say I can do it? I don't know. And she was like, once I said, oh, I'll do it, she was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I totally forgot that you draw and like do all that. I was like, oh, I thought you were just like, I don't know.
Maybe you thought she was just dropping hints.
Yeah, I was
like, oh, maybe.
I was like, well...
Yeah.
So yeah, she ended up putting me in contact with Eva, and I just went and showed Eva some of my work, and she really liked it. So we started on this project. And so it's actually done in conjunction with an elder, Cecile Howard, from Lac Ste, which is like a Métis hub. And it's a story about her life growing up in the area and her catching like the last great fish of the lake. So it was recorded in Michif and then in French, and then it was transcribed for me in English because sadly I can't speak Michif or French. But I'm trying to learn. Yeah, and then I kind of just broke it down into pages and started going from there.
So what was it like, the process of working with the author? Did you collaborate a lot, or did you not collaborate?
Yeah, so I actually haven't had the chance to meet Cecile yet. I'm supposed to go meet her in January. So I've kind of just been using Eva Lemaire kind of like as a liaison. So I've just seen videos of her speaking Michif and French. I've been given like a book almost about her life. There's a book released on the Lac Ste Métis settlement. She's like a pretty prominent person within it. So I've kind of just been studying her from afar at this point. But she's really excited about the book. She's really intrigued to use like a story about her life. And I think the story that she tells is really pertinent to Métis communities in Alberta because she talks about the importance of community, the importance of water, the importance of her relationship to the land. Mm-hmm. And it actually highlights a lot of ecological issues as well because the lake used to be full of fish, but then with the onset of settlers it gets really depleted. So the story is about her catching the last large fish, the last like northern pike I think it was. and they don't really exist within the lake anymore, especially at that size. So it's kind of like bittersweet story that she caught it. It's kind of the end of the plentifulness.
Yeah. Bountifulness?
Bountifulness.
Bountiful? I don't know.
Words are not my friend today. Holy.
So you're meeting her in January.
Yeah.
Are you nervous?
Yeah, super nervous. Elders are harsh.
Yeah, that is true.
Mean Métis auntie is one thing, but mean Métis elder?
Yeah, I mean, maybe elder.
Métis aunties run from Métis elders.
Yeah, like I think she'll like be a very, very nice, but like if she doesn't like something, I know she's gonna be like, why did you draw this? Or like, how does this symbolize my story? So I am like a little bit nervous.
It's weird that that's where my mind first went. Like, oh crap.
Yeah,
I would just be, an anxious mess.
Yeah.
Like, crap, when she hates me.
For sure. Also the fact that I don't speak Michif, it's like, I know it's like pretty common for people not to speak it because of all the issues with colonialism, but like I'm also, is she gonna be like, why are you doing this? I don't know. Yeah. So I am like a little bit nervous. But I actually did find out that my grandma, all she spoke was Michif until she was 8.
Oh,
but
that's
then
cool.
she learned English and it was so like detrimental for her to only speak Michif during that time that she just never spoke it again. So she never taught like anyone in her family. So I do feel like a connection to it for sure. And that's definitely a goal.
Have you learned any Michif words?
A little bit. Okay, I have owls fly at night, or what was it called? Owls see clearly at night.
Owls see clearly at night.
It's like a Michif children's alphabet book.
Oh, yeah.
And it's adorable. It's like Le Buffalette or something for like buffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am kind of trying. I definitely, when I get in connection with Cecile, I want her to make the title of the book and find a comprehensive Michif word that kind of embodies the book. And I definitely want to like try and like at least learn a few words that I can say to her. But Ripley also is doing a Michif language course. She doesn't speak it fluently. There's programs right now in St. Albert to learn it.
Oh, cool. Wow. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, so I definitely want to try.
Yeah, I only know one word in Michif, and that's the devil, Lichiab. Priorities.
I feel like I probably would butcher everything if I tried to speak it, but I can recognize some words if it's printed out. If I saw the word for sash, I would be like, oh yeah, that's the word for sash.
Okay.
Or like an owl, because I've seen it so much. I don't actually have that cognitive where I've heard somebody speak it, so I could put the word and the tones together and actually make some type of legible vocalization. But I can see it and be like, oh, that's an owl if it's like written down, but I could never the word.
It's hard too because the R's in French, when you pronounce an R in French, it's at the back of your throat. Like when you say carotte, it's at the back, right? But when you say merci in Michif, it's at the front of your mouth. So it's very subtle differences. So it's hard. You can't tell that when you're reading it off of the speaker, right?
Like I think the only solid word that I know is lijiab, and that's because you say it enough. Like
there you see. I'm going to teach everyone about the devil. It's perfect.
Perfect. It's in a PhD title.
Oh yeah.
Or so just stuff like that. But
so how are you able, what is it like to like represent, or even if that's what you're doing, represent a language or a story within your illustrations?
It's definitely challenging not being able to speak Michif and I'm translating it from English into illustrations, but I think it is missing a piece by me not being able to speak Michif because there's so much embodiment within the language. But yeah, right now I'm trying to use a lot of motifs and a lot of symbolism and trying to do, it is going to be a children's book, so I want to try and do visual components that children can try and pull out themselves that kind of embody ecology, environment, family without like specifically just drawing like family. So trying to do a lot of symbolism, and I think that kind of helps bridge the gap between me doing the English version rather than the Michif version. So trying to use visuals, I guess, rather than straight verbativeness.
That makes sense to me. So it's like, it's almost like an elder. When you hear a story from an elder, you have all of these different elements at play, right? And there's tons of metaphors and symbolism in a story. And you as the listener, it's your responsibility to pick out what it means to you and what makes it special and what you need to take from it. That's what it seems like you're doing, which is pretty rad. Like, that's a really interesting way to develop the storytelling.
Yeah.
Sweet. Have you thought about it that way before? Like, wow.
No, well, you said it much better than me.
It's like, oh my god, that's like storytelling. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Yeah, trying to bridge that gap between not knowing the language, but trying to like embody like the significance of it within like visuals. I think that that's what I'm trying to do really strongly within the illustrations.
Cool. I really like how you said you're translating from Michif to French and then the English into the story.
Yeah.
It is like a language, right? Storytelling visually. You know, like as we were talking, we get images in our minds when we hear stories, or a lot of people do anyway. I do. So I think that's really, really powerful and really interesting, and yeah. Good job.
You win.
Yeah.
So what kind of symbols? Can you give us an example of a symbol that you would use?
Let me try to think. Yeah, so there's this one page where she's talking about how important the lake is to life, how it's basically the basis of the ecosystem, and without it nothing would survive. So I'm doing a lot of circular concepts because that's kind of shows life and death as well as synchronicity, I guess. So I'm doing lots of circle imagery as well as lots of beading imagery. Yeah, and I have a large focus on the fish as a symbol, kind of as the transition between life and death, because it begins with the fish and ends with the fish. As well, I'm using the sun a lot. Within each page, it transitions until the end when it sets. So yeah, a lot of focus on circular concepts.
That's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
That's really smart. It's holy.
So what kind of medium are you using? Are you doing a lot of stuff digitally, or are you painting or drawing?
So I sketched everything out first in pencil, and then I actually learned how to use a Wacom tablet and do Photoshop Illustrator. I was originally going to do stuff by hand because I was really anti-digital art before. So I was, it's not real.
All this fake art.
Yeah.
I was like, that's cheating. I don't know. It seemed like cheating to me. But then I tried sketching it out with pencil. I don't know. It was just not working. So then my boyfriend actually uses a Wacom a lot. He showed me. It's definitely an art form. I don't know why I was so against it before. I could have saved myself a lot of time and energy. So I'm really glad that I learned how to use it. So I actually brought it if you guys want to see it.
Oh, yeah. That's so cool. I don't think I've ever seen one.
No.
I don't even know. I'm not even 100% sure I know what that is.
So it's just like a little tablet that you plug into your computer, and it comes with a digital pen. And the pen is actually pressure sensitive. So if you press harder on here, the streak will be more prominent on the screen.
Oh.
There's so many different settings. I don't know if you guys want to play with it.
Sure. Whoa.
Yeah, so that's what I've been using.
Are you okay if I take a
Yeah, for sure.
photo for our website?
Yeah, I know. I brought I can show you some of the illustrations too.
Yes, please.
Yes. How much does something like this
It's
cost?
$100.
That's
Whoa.
it?
Yeah. And then to get Photoshop, it's $14 a month as a student.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
$14
So-
a month?
Yeah.
Why am
It's
I paying
not
so
bad.
much? Yeah, well, I got the whole Adobe suite and it was $230.
Oh.
But I wanted Audition.
Oh.
So here's one page I was talking about where it's the circle with water and stuff. This is just a sketch.
Wow.
So then you upload these to the Photoshop, and you have to do all this editing to it to make sure that you can actually draw on it. So this is her talking about the water. So in the center is a beaded flower motif, which I thought kind of symbolized her family. It just going outwards. These are cattle that she talks about. These are some plant life. And this is the fish that circle around. Yeah.
How are you going to do the beading?
I don't know yet.
Future
Probably-
problem.
Well, just very painstakingly do little dots.
Oh,
Wow.
I don't have patience for anything like that.
Yeah.
They go little and then turn into big splotches and be like, I gotta finish this faster.
Yeah, just beating.
Yeah.
Like how it is. Wow.
It's been really interesting. I'm learning a lot. I honestly did not feel very qualified to do it at first because I was like, well, I'm not a professional illustrator. I just do it for a hobby, drawing and stuff. But yeah, I feel a lot more competent now. And
You can do it.
Yeah.
It's all a part of the hustle, hey? You don't know that you can do it until you're like, yeah,
Totally.
sure. And then you're like, oh, wait, why did I agree to do this? And then you have to do it.
Okay, I would've
Yeah.
never learned. So yeah, it's been really interesting.
Can we rewind for a second? So Gabrielle, I know that you are incredibly talented. I've seen lots of your stuff. Where did your interest in drawing kind of come from, and how did you learn how to draw? YouTube tutorials? YouTube.
like learn how to draw a bear. And it's like circles that's put together.
What? Do you remember those books from when we were kids? Like how to draw a cartoon character.
Yes.
And then you like go step by step.
And it never looks like that.
Yeah, and you're like, why do I suck?
Yeah.
Was it that?
Did you do a better job than us?
Yeah. I guess
Yeah, I did do a better job.
No, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't really know where drawing started. I guess I just always really liked it. Just like I started when I was really young, and my parents put me in some art courses, but I'm mainly self-taught. So it's just like lots of sketching, just trying out different mediums. I'm definitely like, I wouldn't consider myself a fine artist or anything. I think I would need a lot more hours and a lot more experience working with different mediums. I kind of just play around and do it for fun, but I was trying to get a portfolio together for the fine arts program, but I kind of gave up on that. It was so intense. I took the fine arts 101 in like the design class, and it was amazing. I learned a lot, but like I was doing those 2 classes, I was so done, and I felt it was like really draining me of all my creativity to like a point where it just didn't seem like that's what I want to do for like a living. It was like, wow, I just want to do this like as a hobby and just like maintain like artistic ownership, I guess.
Actually, I started out with a fine arts
Did you
degree.
really?
Yeah.
What are you specializing in?
A sculpture.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I did sculpture, and I did lots of plaster work and lots of clay work. But I think you're right. Something about it, and something about doing something for grades and something for a professor and being graded on it, it just kind of takes away from that creativity side of it. And I found that I ended up doing most of my projects despite my professor, which probably wasn't what you're supposed to be doing. Do you know what I mean? So I can see that taking joy out of it, right?
Unless you have a professor that's like super open to like, your creativity and learns your style, because I took that erotica class that had an art component to it, and pretty much it was like anything flies with Tracy Bear because she's so awesome. It got to the point where I literally handed in a painting and was like, Tracy, guess what part of my body I painted this with? And she was like,
Did you really?
That's hilarious.
Well, it was for like Indigenous erotica, which was all about, decolonizing our sexuality. And then we had like an art component to talk about trauma and like sexual trauma and the way that we perceive gender in like a settler state. And then it just got it to this weird point where I was just doing random crap for her, like making balloon animals out of condoms. Like, that is something I handed in, and she was like, keep going, this is great. And I think, one of the ones I was like, guess which part of my body I painted this with. But it's because she fostered that, like, creativity and was like, do what you want to do what you love, just as long as you're actually handing something in. But like, it wasn't for a fine arts course, it was for a Native Studies class. So there's a bit of a difference, but I
think that's a difference between mentorship and dictatorship, right? Because like, well, maybe I shouldn't say dictatorship. Maybe that's a little strong. But do you know what I'm saying? Like, some professors are like, it's my way or the highway. You have to do it this way, and these are the learning outcomes. You have to do it. But I don't know. My brain has never thought that way. I've always been against the grain in that sense. So I don't know. I think that people need to have that ability to express themselves in any way that they feel like it's necessary. Right?
And there's something to be said about making what's a hobby into a career. Then you don't necessarily have the same relationship to
definitely.
Like, fun fact about me, I dropped out of fashion school in Vancouver. That's true. Yeah, I know.
Right?
You wouldn't know.
Kayla, did you drop out of some kind of fine arts program?
I do have a red seal in hairdressing. I was like a colorist for years.
Sorrel art drop.
I have done art before. Like, I have some of my own paintings up in my house, but I don't consider myself an artist because it's just something that I was doing for like fun.
Exactly. When you have to do it for money, or you have to do it not be in debt or whatever, or you're going into debt because of it, it takes away some of it. I mean, I know you can't tell because I'm wearing clashing pajamas, but like sewing and like,
they don't need to know. So good.
Thank goodness
Pajamas
this is a podcast. Thanks for coming to my house.
Pajamas don't count.
like it definitely does change, and I think it's a really important lesson that I learned for sure, to keep hobbies as hobbies, and then so you have a place to like express stuff and like express whatever you need to.
Cool.
Yeah, it was
It seems like a hard school to get into. In Vancouver, especially.
Was it Blanche McDonald?
Yes, it was. Yeah. I
They
learned.
also do like makeup and hair design, and my friend went through the makeup program there.
Yeah, they're well known for their makeup program. Anyway, this is not an ad for Blanche
No,
McDonald.
it is
I
not.
dropped out. Like, don't get it twisted. I was not happy, but I did learn a lot about myself.
Yeah, and sometimes that's the biggest thing, is you learn about yourself when doing something.
Yeah, it's the cheesy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now that we've gone totally doom and gloom with this conversation, so I know that you're still working on this project, Gabrielle, but would you ever want to do other illustrations for different books?
Yeah.
Is the door open for that, or is it totally closed?
I would love to, actually. I definitely love doing it. I think it's a really great use of my mind. Like, I really like taking abstract concepts and try to make them into visuals. Like, I really, really wanted to be a marketing designer. I don't know if it's the right term, but I really wanted to do people's emblems and like ads. So I feel like this is kind of like similar. Like, I really like it when people give me something that's not super verbatim, and then I get to try and take that and make it into what I want. I love doing children's books and like thinking about how kids would like react to the pages and like what's the best way to communicate with them, but also in a way that's visually appealing to adults, and also, you know, something that kind of like transitions demographics. So yeah, I would love to. I think I'm probably going to try and start doing stuff with my boyfriend. We're going to try and start doing stuff for like CJSR, because they're looking for people to do their advertisements. So
Sweet.
Nice.
yeah.
So-
it doesn't pay though. So
Sometimes the best jobs don't
I know.
Like,
There's like so much less pressure. I would say.
Yeah, and then you have a little bit more freedom sometimes too. Sometimes. So your book, the book has not yet been published, but it soon will be.
Yeah, so right now we're thinking we're going to do the self-publishing route and do trial runs with an ebook copy. And I think we're going to use Blurb software. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but
I haven't. Tell me more.
They're really great. So they're really known for their printing, because you can do one copy or you can do like 1,000 copies, rather than having to do most self-publishing routes will make you do like 20 or something. And they're really known for like having high definition color pages, so lots of photo books, lots of actually like fashion books.
Nice.
For people like trying to start their own, or doing stuff for like Pixar for like really fast print off things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did like an assignment on them and I ended up really liking them. They also have a free like hosting page where you can sell your book in like their shop for free.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Sweet.
Yeah. So Tanya, you probably have the most experience in publishing, but when it comes to actually like the publishing process, if you're going through a publishing company, I know a lot of times the company can have kind of like control over the content. And yesterday we were talking about titles, or the other day we were talking about titles being able to be changed. Can they change illustrations, or is that something that isn't normally that they do? They don't say like they don't like this, or take something out, or add something?
From my understanding, no.
Okay.
But the publishing experience that I have is more for nonfiction adults, scholarly stuff.
Oh, okay.
In terms of imagery, I guess I could pull. I've done lots of research on translation and translating of children's books and translating graphic novels and comics. And changing the image is a huge no-no.
Okay.
Like, you cannot change the image. So if your book were to be translated in all these other different languages, they actually aren't allowed to change that image.
Okay.
Or it's like against the, I don't know, code of ethics, if that's a thing. But yeah, there's lots of studies saying that you can't do that. So who knows? Who knows for sure, but that's my instinct, is no way they can't touch that image.
That's perfect.
You're forever in like paper.
Okay.
There you go. I do have a question about the ebook. I'm just wondering, why is their decision, was it based on cost to do the ebook launch first?
I think that right now seems like the easiest method, but now that I'm thinking about it, like, I guess there wouldn't be like that much difference. This is kind of what Eva wants to do, so I'm kind of letting her have control over that. But I think, maybe having a physical copy would be much more transitional for like especially children. Having physical copies of stuff usually is better. But yeah, now that you said that, I don't think it's that hard to print it.
I think it depends on the audience and what you want to do with it, because there's different apps and things like that, and depending on what you do with the story, if you are going to have an ebook, there's different ways that you can actually animate the image. So that actually might be a really interesting way to kind of get kids more interested. Yeah, you can move it. So you had your circular image, and you can kind of
that's a really good idea.
Make movement out of it. I've seen different books have that. Yeah, have you not seen that before? No. Yeah, Kayla's mouth is just wide open, like, what?
I love things that move. I'm like, I am such like a visual person. Like, I am that librarian that hates reading, because I'm like, make it do something. Like, make the page move. Yeah. I'm like, that sounds awesome.
Well, there's actually one book, I forget the children's book title for some stupid reason, but it's a book about books, really. And in the online, the e-version, there's like books flying out at you, and you can kind of like move the iPad around and explore the actual world. So you have like this 3-dimensional view.
I've seen something kind of like this, but it's not necessarily for books. It's for like, historic sites where you can take like an iPad, and if there's like pictographs or like petroglyphs or whatever they're called, they will like come off the rock and like move, and then like a story will tell.
Yeah, so it's similar to that, what I've seen. For the life of me, I can't think of what the software is called, but I mean, that's really cool and it's really great, but then you have to kind of have that balance in your own head of like, okay, is this more about the gimmick now, or is it about the story? Because doing something like that is pretty gimmicky. So I guess it really depends on what you want to do. And the reason I bring it up is because I have 2 kids at home who love playing with the iPad, but in terms of iPad versus physical book, they'll go for the physical book 9 times out of 10. Although that, I don't know. I guess I'm divided on it. I'm divided because I've also seen, working at a public library, because we always do the big public library programs, story time, whatever. So I've done programs where you have the ebook and you connect your iPad up to the screen, and then you can do storytelling that way through a projector and just filter through. So there's ways to work with it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter. I guess there's all the different ways of how to present the story.
I actually never even thought of any of that stuff, so thank you so much for letting me know about that.
I'm all like, kids stories,
Like, we're going to be releasing the beta version, so we're kind of just trying to have it done by January 15th. From there, then we can add a bunch of components and do physical copies, and I love your idea of having like the moving concepts.
Yeah, well, really I don't know.
Yeah, especially from someone who has kids.
Kids go bananas.
From coming from a place where your art was always like something that you did for yourself or like a hobby, what's it like having deadlines on your art? I know that's totally like a loaded question, but in my head I'm like, I would hate having like a deadline.
Especially around Christmas, you're like, oh crap.
Honestly, in a way, it's good because I start so many art projects and then just abandon them for like literally years. Right. And then I'm like, So it is beneficial that like I actually get stuff done, and I can be like a really big perfectionist sometimes, to the point where it's really detrimental and it doesn't even make any sense anymore to be focusing on like this little square inch of a page. So it's good for me to just like actually just do it and have it done, and then I can always go back and work on it later. So it's been really beneficial in that way. But yeah, it has been like, very nerve-wracking, and you can't force the creative process sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can. It's called drugs. Sorry.
It's called drugs?
Yes,
I did. Interesting.
Okay, your creative juices flowing. It's probably inappropriate for this podcast.
I feel like some of the things we say is sometimes inappropriate for a podcast. You did mention your boyfriend is also an artist. Have you ever thought about collaborating with another artist doing illustrations for books, or?
Yeah, I would love to collaborate with artists, with Eric, The Framing Problem on Instagram. He's great. We have like really different styles too, because he does strictly like highly detailed pen and ink and sometimes a little bit of gouache, and he doesn't really do color. It's mostly black and white. And I, on the other hand, like doing lots of color, and I don't like doing super detailed work because I'm lazy when it comes to that. It takes forever, and I don't find it that rewarding. Well, I guess it is really rewarding again, but anyways, I kind of do like more faster sketches and more like splashes of color. So they're really opposite, so I'd really like to mix them together. We're actually going to collaborate on painting the wall in his apartment though.
Oh,
Sweet.
awesome.
Which we will have to paint over when he leaves.
Oh,
Whatever.
you can take pictures of it.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome.
So you were saying that you love splashes of color.
Yeah.
So do I. Surprise, surprise. Unless it's clothing for some weird reason, but how much do you think your Métis heritage has inspired your artwork, if at all?
Yeah, so I think it really has in a lot of ways that are subtle. Like unless I think about it, I won't really realize. But I definitely like notice a pattern with Aboriginal people having more, I would say, a little bit more like flashy style and stuff. Like especially when I go to like faculty of Native Studies, I'm like, everyone here dresses so well, and they're like also like, I think it really stems from the historical regalia. I don't know if that's the right term. But Métis people have always incorporated like lots of design, lots of color, lots of beading into like everyday life, and I think that that's just like really ingrained, and it definitely comes out in my art a lot. Like I'm definitely trying to learn more about, I guess, the beading process, traditional Métis art. Yeah, I definitely see it, but like unless I think about it, like that's just kind of the way I am. But yeah, it definitely stems from that, I think.
Sweet.
What's your favorite color to use?
Oh, okay, it's orange. Orange is my favorite color, but like a sunset orange, not like an obnoxious.
Not like an ugly orange.
I like that.
Yeah, so I love like a tangerine.
Nice.
Ooh.
I feel like that also like suits your personality.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I went and got my cards read not too long ago, and she told me that my aura was a shimmering orange, and I was like, ooh.
Oh, I like that.
I like that too. I want a shimmering aura.
What's your favorite color?
Yeah, what are you
Tanya?
guys' favorite color?
Mine blue or okay, I like blue, but like a greeny blue, like a teal kind of. Yes,
Yeah.
turquoise
I love
esque.
that too.
×2. I've always gravitated towards turquoise as very young. I didn't really realize that it was a native quote unquote color until much later. I was like, oh, weird.
Well, it's the color of the sea.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah. That's the color that I associate with the ocean. You don't like
Ocean.
Prairie girl.
I am a prairie girl. I'm like, ew, the ocean.
I am too, but I grew up by the beach.
Smells. Yeah.
Winnipeg Beach?
St. Ambrose Beach.
Okay. Did you ever go
Yeah.
to Stonewall?
Probably.
Okay.
I can't
I was there a
remember, like,
lot. Maybe we crossed paths.
Probably. Baby Gabrielle. We like wave at each other. Hey, we'll see each other in a few years.
What's your favorite color, Kayla?
Mine is green, like
Okay.
a dark green, like forest green.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm totally dig the like olive, like camel green. But green's
Woodsy.
my favorite color.
Cool.
My least favorite color is red.
Oh, I hate red too.
Yeah,
It's
I cannot
obnoxious.
handle it.
I get
hate
anxiety
red.
attack.
I don't like
yeah.
red
I
either.
think so.
I can't do red or yellow.
I can't do the
Yeah.
warm colors. The warm colors I just hate.
Yeah. Huh.
On a good day, maybe like sometimes I get into the pink. I know it's like a weird thing for me because I'm always in black and I'm like, ugh. But I dig the pink sometimes. And although my hair is yellow right now, I'm like, I don't like yellow, but here we go. On the one side. But yeah.
Cool.
I think that's interesting though that you brought up the beading. I've just started hearing stories about beadwork and the buffalo hunt. Do you know about what they do to punish people, or what they did during the fur trade?
Well, like cut their saddles on their horses.
Yeah, so I think, I can't remember the exact story, but there's a process of if you steal something from this person, then you get this punishment, this punishment, this punishment, and you have a certain amount of strikes. But one of the punishments is that you get your beading ripped off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
just rude.
I know. So you get your beadwork ripped off. So there's a bunch of archaeologists. They find like just random piles of beads. It's like, yep, someone was shamed here, right?
So interesting.
I know, but
And
it's
that's
so
actually-
linked to us.
Yeah. I like that punishment. It's not violent per se, but it's definitely like an infliction on yourself.
Yeah, but it's like F you. What I put all this effort into this. Yeah.
It's okay. Also, I feel like it probably was not the women cutting the beadwork off, but if it's the guys that are wearing the beadwork on their jacket and they're the one that messed up and that beadwork's been cut
Yeah.
off, that poor woman that spent all those hours beating that vest just to have some
Oh, I'm sure he's paying for it even harder.
Yeah. If Eric came home and was like, somebody cut the beadwork off my moccasins, I'd be like,
what did you do?
where is this person? Like, what is their name?
What did you do?
Maybe that's where the actual punishment comes from.
Oh god, this is like the mean Métis aunties. We're like, I can't believe that would happen.
Exactly.
How dare they?
Because it's something that you would literally wear in the community too. Everyone would know, right? Like, oh, you did this. Yeah. So not only would you hear from your partner, but everyone else too, right?
They're all whispering in front of your face.
Yeah,
That's
everyone knows. Yeah.
So recently I saw that you did an art space research project. How was that? Or what did that entail? I saw some photos of it. But.
That was a really great class. So we had to do an arts-based autoethnography, which is, so an autoethnography is kind of, this is my interpretation from the class. You analyze an aspect of your life and relate it to larger themes within the world. So I ended up doing something called grief weaving, and I kind of looked at how my father passed away and how it brought on anxiety about cultural loss and how that kind of relates to Métis and Aboriginal persons on a larger scale. That there's lots of anxiety about cultural loss because traditional way of life has been taken away quite a bit. I mean, people still maintain it and are trying to revitalize it. So I ended up using my Métis sash and I cut it up. I don't know if that's blasphemous, but I cut it up because I was, kind of representing how I feels like really jagged now, my sense of self. Then I ended up weaving it into all my old artwork. Once again, artwork that I've been sitting there for years. And I was like, I am going to repurpose this. So I did that, and I kind of tried to convey a sense of fragmentation after my dad's death, but then also a sense of weaving myself back together. And then I really focused on the Métis sash because I feel like in addition to losing him, there's been a strain on me going to see my family on that side because it's far away for me to go. That was a link to he just had lots of stories about our family. Just also in a weird sense, I feel like he verified me in being Native because he looked really Native. Yeah, I just feel on top of his death, I felt really anxious that I'm not Métis enough anymore. So yeah, that's kind of what that project looked like. And through it, I did learn that I need to take more initiative to be learning Michif, to be taking beading, because I can't just expect my dad to bring these opportunities to me anymore. I have to kind of go out and do it myself. So yeah.
I think that's something with all of us is we're kind of at that generation where we're just getting out there and doing it ourselves, especially if, I don't know, we've talked about this with other guests about a loss of community and having to get out there and actually just do it. Yeah because you don't have people coming to you anymore, and you don't have really, I don't want to say you don't have a community. People live urban lives now. There's a lot of overlapping with identities. So yeah, more so taking your own initiative now.
Well, it's even
kind of sad.
Yeah, it's even trauma too, right? Because I don't know, a lot of the stuff for us aren't getting passed down because it's traumatic.
Oh no, for sure.
Right? Oof.
Yeah, there's a lot of things there, and then sometimes people make comments oh, but you don't look Métis, or oh, you don't bead, or you. And I'm well, my grandma did speak Michif. She did bead. She blah blah did all this, but then it just abruptly ended at a certain age, and it was never passed on. So
besides, how do they know what a Métis person looks like? Screw you. We all look very different here.
And also, people have their own interests too. I am a horrible beader. I've tried, and that will never come natural to me. Whereas, my great grandma and my mom and grandma are all amazing beaders, basket weavers, knitters, all that crap, and I have none. The only thing I can do is cook. That's about the only thing that was passed down. Yeah, but that's the only thing. That's the only thing out of those Métis genes that got passed down was the fact that I can slap some great bannock. That's about it. And that's as far as we go.
Yeah. Well, and there's less pressure, for other aspects. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel there is a lot of pressure, or there can be a lot of pressure, at least anyway. Being enough, I think that's something a lot of people have felt and feel.
Yeah. And it's just those weird identity politics.
Yeah.
At least y'all have like your last names. I got married and did the dumb thing of taking my husband's last name, so I'm like white passing, but my last name's also Larson, so like that creates like a lot of issues when people are like, who is this Larson, Métis Larson person? It's like, well, I am also married and I did take his name, but then that just like adds like another layer to that, like not being enough. Yeah, so sure. But if I kept my maiden name and his name, that'd be way too many hyphens. That'd be like multiple hyphens in one name. So
Hyphen City,
that'd be like 3 hyphens. Yeah, because he spelled it weird, so.
We got real deep there.
We did. We get deep in everyone. We always are like, we hit that high point where like, you know, talking about colors, but then it's like, it immediately crashes. And we're like, doom and gloom. Yeah. Like, we're gonna have to get some type of like voice thing that's like when we're talking about doom and gloom that we like insert.
Voiceover, like doom and gloom.
And then it's
sure. Sure. Why not?
It's gonna be all this voice, just doom and gloom over.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Or it could be like a thunder.
Yeah,
like,
thunder.
Yeah.
Or like ghost music. Like
a creaky haunted house door.
Yeah.
Okay, so my vision of it was, okay, you know that episode in Rick and Morty when the big heads are like, show me what you got.
Oh, yeah.
That's how it would sound.
For
like
doom.
in my head.
Yeah. Doom and gloom.
Yeah. See?
Yeah.
So I guess we have time for one more question. Actually, I'm going to throw in 2 questions. Number 1 for you, Gabrielle. Once you have your book kind of all set up, would we be able to promote it on our website?
I would absolutely love that. For sure.
That was a quick and easy one. You.
Definitely like, feel free to send us some like photos of your artwork and of your boyfriend's too, and we can definitely put it up.
For sure. I know that you were talking to Musée Heritage when you were there, and they said that they were interested in it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Michif Cultural Connections. Yeah, there's so many great people that want to promote it, so looking forward to it.
Yeah,
like
so
a little
looking after our own.
display, yeah.
Yeah, traveling library.
Traveling library.
Bush library.
Bush librarianship. Yeah, I'm all about that life.
That's so cool.
Okay, one more question for you, Gabrielle, and this is a question that we ask all of our guests. So this is a podcast that's for people who are interested in editing, publishing, and writing, and illustrating, because there's all different types of sharing your work and promoting your knowledge. What advice would you give to anyone who, or any Indigenous person who would be interested in illustrating for a children's book?
Well, definitely collaborate with people around you. Play off each other's strengths. I'm sure like there's probably someone who's great at writing if you're great at illustrating, or someone who's great at public relations to promote your book. Don't think about starting, well, I guess think about going big. You know, start at the ground level. There's lots of routes now for people to go with self-publishing and with like networking through the internet. I think that there's lots of opportunities, especially in like Indigenous novel or like children's book field. I think it's a really burgeoning scene and really growing. So yeah, definitely like talk to your classmates or talk to your coworkers and like get ideas down on paper and just like start. Yeah.
Just start.
Just start. It's never going to be like a perfect time. Just start.
There's never a perfect time for anything.
No.
Right?
Nope.
So I think that's
very
real
true.
solid. Real solid advice. Do you two have any other questions before we wrap her up?
I think I'm good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
This is so
Yeah, thanks,
interesting.
Gabrielle.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on down.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Until next time.